Hi guys, welcome to In the Stands. Thank you for joining us. There was 4 games today. There was plenty to talk about. Harry does join us later on in the episode, so look out for that. But Jamie, we can talk about it in the introduction. What should people look out for? What games did we talk about?
Talk about all of them, funny enough, Ollie.
Yeah,
but yes, it was
we
a
did.
class day. In fact, Ollie, we sat and watched them all back to
Socially
back.
distanced.
Yes,
No, not
yeah.
back to back. We were socially distanced. We weren't back to back. That would be.
You are funny, Ollie. Anyway, we covered from the controversies of the Brighton Arsenal game. A few injuries may have taken place.
Mm-hmm.
Then we move on to many other games that have taken place that I do not
Which
remember.
you can't remember. I'll reintroduce
Watford,
you.
The two 90-minute battle.
2 90-minute bangers of goals that we covered. We had Wolves with their easy victory against West Ham. West Ham look in danger? They're getting ever closer to that drop-down zone. Crystal Palace with a professional win to Bournemouth. Looked very comfortable for Crystal Palace again. Bournemouth not scoring the goals, but definitely conceding them. So looking like they're in real trouble. Plenty to talk about. A couple of transfer sagas. Luke Shaw now talking about how he wants Man United to progress. Another interesting one to talk about as well. And finally, Harry gave us a little roundup of the Championship to know what's going on there as well. It's all hotting up. A lot of close places between the playoffs, isn't there, Jamie?
As I said later on the podcast, I said it's crazy the Championship from 10th to 3rd, they're battling all for that one playoff promotion place.
Yeah, it's
crazy.
Anyway,
find out more by listening to the podcast, and I hope you enjoy.
There's plenty of that and more to talk about. Listen to it now. Hi guys, welcome back to the Daily Roundup. We had 4 games today, football all throughout the day, so plenty to talk about. Now guys, is there anything you want to start off, anything you want to headline with?
Well, should we go for the most eventful game? And that's the one in Brighton. Brighton 2, Arsenal 1. What do you kind of think? What are your thoughts on that game?
It was quite a boring game but most games are boring today. Apart from apart from all the goals, a cracker goal from Nicolas Pepe, the £72 million man. Then the game took a bit of a turn after an interesting goal line decision ball. That's the word I'm looking for. Overturned. It worked this time, which is thankful to see. And then a very controversial second goal after the injury of Arsenal's goalkeeper Leno.
Well, yeah, the injury of Leno was in the first half, and that's what. Should we go to that first? Because if we'll go chronologically through the game, what are your guys' thoughts? Did he really need to go in like that? Is it just part of the game? Obviously, he didn't really mean for him to get injured. It's just one of those moments that happens, and it's sort of turned the tide of the game due to the fact that Leno is probably won Arsenal so many points this season, and then he gets injured, and now Martinez comes on, who's only had 6 Premier League appearances in his whole time at Arsenal. So first, we'll just say, what are your guys' thoughts on the Maupay-Leno sort of challenge, and also the aftermath of it as well?
Well, a lot of people saying that there'd been a back and forth between Maupay, is that the best way? Maupay? Yeah, and Leno. And I think if that's anywhere else in the box, it's just a little bit of an afters, and they would bump off each other really. But the fact is that it's on the edge of the box, and the striker is trying to force an error there. And what Leno's done is he's realised it's them going out, but he's committed to holding it. So he's planted his feet to try and make sure that he stays in the box, and he's holding it. And then if he takes contact, it's a foul, not him taking it out. So as a goalkeeping way, Leno's done the right thing. But the problem is he's planted that foot, and the contact means it's put pressure on that knee where you don't want that pressure. So as much as I think it's a horrible injury and it was indirectly caused by the Brighton striker, I don't think there was any malice in it. And I think Leno is taking his frustration out rather than actually blaming Maupay on it. But yeah, that's just my opinion. What's your opinion on it, Harry?
Yeah, I think that's... You summed it up pretty well there. That if he doesn't get injured from that challenge, it's just a bit of afters. There might be a couple of players annoyed, but if no one got injured, people sort of forget about it. Whereas they just caused a really serious injury to one of their most important players this season, piled that off on the 2 injuries they've got already, plus the suspension to David Luiz. Going into their next game against Southampton, a team that's just won 3-0, going through such a confident period against Norwich, firing in goals left, right and centre. They've lost the goalkeeper that's won them so many points. How much of an effect do you think that will have on their chances of winning that next game, especially because they've lost 2 on the bounce.
Yeah, confidence is going to... Oh, go on, Jambo. What were you going to say?
To be honest, I can see it going either way because Arsenal, especially Arsenal, aren't a team to lose 3 games in a row. And I think it'll affect them in a positive way, to be honest with you, Harry. As I think this will give them the kick at the bum they need. Obviously, it's a bit of a shame Leno went out injured, and that could benefit Southampton, yes. However, a team like Arsenal shouldn't really go 3 games without a win or a draw. I do back Southampton to win it. However, I can also see it going the other way.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see what Arsenal's reaction will be, because they've had 2 goes now to try and prove themselves. And to be fair, they got off on the right foot with Pepe's finish, and you saw that bit of class that he offered. But it just seemed like it again. Concentration levels in the typical Arsenal way of holding what they have, it slipped away quite easily, and I think that puts them in 10th now, so they're mid-table, which for a side of their quality and the amount they've invested is very worrying for them, isn't it? I mean, Crystal Palace have leapfrogged them, so yeah, very, very interesting to see what Arsenal's reaction will be. Yeah, there we go. Do we want to? Another one I want to talk about is Watford Leicester, and the fact that it was very similar today. I don't know what it was. It must just be the first game back, but it seemed like the first 60 or so minutes were all very dull. And then for some reason, the games today just kicked on from about the second water break onwards, if that makes sense. I don't know what it is. The Watford Leicester had 2 brilliant goals in the 90th minute, didn't it? Mm. What's your assessment on that, Sid? I don't know what that tells us.
It does seem a bit odd, to be fair.
Yeah.
They sort of wake up right at the last minute. I think it's because both teams are trying to suss each other out in the first 16 minutes. No one's overcommit in any area, because then it's always more difficult to get back in the game.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a lack of match sharpness. In all fairness, I think they've only had 1 or 2 pre-season or mid-season friendlies, to be fair. So I think it's just that lack of match sharpness. And then when they've got the new substitutes on, fresh legs. They've seen it in a couple of games this season. Today anyway, where the subs came on and bam, that sort of made the difference. And I think that's sort of what it is today. I think tiredness and a lack of concentration is quite a big reason for many of the goals going in.
Yeah. Well, we're on the Watford and Leicester goals, both brilliant goals. If you had to cut hairs, Jambo, which is the better goal for you?
It's a tough question because obviously acrobatics from Harry, say the name for me. I've forgotten it.
Craig Dawson.
And Craig Dawson. And the absolute wonder strike from Ben Chilwell.
Yeah.
I'll give Chilwell personally because of the run of play. Well, not to say it was obviously easy from Dawson, but I think it's more impressive from Chilwell. Yes, Dawson is a centre-back who isn't really known for his acrobatics. However, they're both good goals on. It's a tough question to spring on.
Is it hard to say that the Dawson one was a bit fluky? Not in a massive sense, but it's sort of it went just slightly to the right of Casper. Casper sort of punched it off the bar. Well, tell you what, I'm not taking anything away from
in a way, though, Harry, you could say the same about Chilwell because he's not known for his goals, really, is he? He's a left.
But he did put that top corner, and that's the difference, isn't it? For me, if you had to look at it technically, Chilwell's was a beautiful finish, and you would find that from a seasoned striker, let alone a left back. I'm thinking. Yeah. But Craig Dawson, for me, it's just hilarious. The fact that Leicester think they've got 3 points and a aged centre-back steps up, turns round and puts a bicycle kick in against Kasper Schmeichel. For me, that edges it just because of the situation. I mean, a 93rd minute win, a bicycle kick from your centre-back. I mean, that's
what you love to see.
Exactly.
Thing is, though, with Watford, they only had 39-40% of the ball, but they did seem alive in the game. In the first 15 minutes, they were a bit dry. Leicester were dominating, could have scored 1 or 2, but after that, it's quite an even affair. And even when they went 1-0 down in the 90th minute, they could have been forgiven for sort of not trying, but due to the fact that when you concede a goal that late on, it's sort of you're not going to get another equaliser. They've got a lot more life than West Ham and Bournemouth, who both lost today. Do you think Watford have enough to stay up, especially after seeing Bournemouth and West Ham's performances from this afternoon?
Oh, 100%, especially with Norwich. I think they're, I hate to say it, I think they're dead in the water, to be completely honest. And Bournemouth, their run of fixtures they have, if you look at it plain and simply, you don't really see any wins come from anywhere apart from a draw against Southampton, maybe. That is the only place you'll likely see any points coming. And especially West Ham are in danger. However, if they don't turn around, it's just a bit of a deserve to go down on paper. But how there's just such a mixed match for them to actually gel as a squad. That's the problem they have at West Ham. Every year they bring in and bring out so many different players. There's no chance for them to gel. And that's wrong with them. That's why I think they could possibly get them relegated for it.
Well, should we talk about that West Ham game now? They stayed level for quite a long time, similar to the other games today. And then it was just a moment of quality. It's a great ball in from Adama Traore, who came off the bench and really made an impact in that game, was part of 2 of the goals. Great ball into Jimenez. And when you give Jimenez a header from 6 yards out, even against Fabianski, he's not gonna miss from there. And that sort of set the tone for the game.
I commented to you guys how impressed I was with Traore stepping up his ability to now create that end product. I think, is he now on 8 assists, which only has Kevin De Bruyne ahead of him? I mean, if you mentioned that a year ago, people probably wouldn't believe you because he looked like a guy whose main asset was just speed and strength. But the fact that now he's putting end products onto his playmaking and his finishing shows he is turning into a...
8 assists, Ollie, 4 goals and 73% pass accuracy.
Brilliant. There you go.
Knew that off my head,
little...
in case you're wondering.
But I was saying to you, Harry, I think I was mentioning, is Traore someone they've got to keep, or is there someone in that team that is more important to them? Like when you look at that Wolves team, and because Traore is not that old, is he? He is still quite
24.
young. Yeah, so
he's been around the block because he's played for Middlesbrough, Aston Villa, Wolves, and other teams. But yeah, for me, there's a couple more important players. You see Jimenez up front, and I think he's fantastic. He's an all-round striker. He scored a lot of goals in this season, not just in the league, but the Europa League as well. You've got Connor Cody at the centre of that defence, who just works really well with the system. He was in the Championship with Wolves, captained them even when Nuno took over, and has been part of that. Doherty at right back, I think he's got a massive amount of goal contributions for a wing back. I think he's only behind Trent Alexander-Arnold and maybe Robertson as well for his contributions. And obviously Patricio's massive as well. But apart from that, you'd probably say Traore is that important, thing, that player in that piece. But once again, like you said, is he in a purple patch, or is he? Or is he actually turning into that all-rounded winger rather than it just being a form sort of thing?
Yeah, it'd be very interesting to see how he keeps on going. But I think what you mentioned there is a clear spine to that team, which has propelled them really well. And I'm very interested because their team is quite small in the facts of the selection-wise. So he has got to try and make more substitutions, which he maybe might not want to really do. If he wants that close-knit squad. And obviously Europa League maybe starting back up again. So it'd be interesting to see how the team goes on with the rest of the fixtures, because they got promoted and they're already in Europa League. I thought that was an amazing achievement from them. And we haven't really seen a fall-off. We see a lot of teams hit that Europa League on a good season and then potentially drop off with the fixture congestion. We haven't seen that so far from Wolves, have we? Can they keep it up, Javo?
Thing is, like I said, it's a bit... I don't want to refer him as like Southampton, but it is a bit like Southampton. The first 2 seasons we came up under, as soon as we got our manager Pochettino in, we were a changed side. And the difference between us and them is they managed to keep their players. If they can keep their player for all their players, like I said, their core players, maybe lose Traore, possibly because only Liverpool were linked with him. I don't think that will go very far. If they keep their players over the season, I could really see them take one of the top spaces in the league, especially Europa League's place, and secure that for the next coming years. Yeah,
I think they are definitely a good battle in Europa League side, aren't they? I don't really see them challenging with the kind of like traditional set. But then again, Arsenal are rebuilding, so I think they could try and battle around there. So I think they could definitely push for Europa League, like you say, if they keep those players. Do you agree with that, Harry?
Yeah, I think they've got a bigger ability to as well because they've shown their potential. And I think, as bad as it sounds, I think going forward they're also more ambitious. Just spending £30 million on a player like Jimenez, you wouldn't see Southampton. That's more of a Leicester move than a Southampton move. So I can see it as a more sustainable thing. Like I said, my only concern is that squad depth because I look at their bunch. And you've got Neto, who scored a phenomenal goal. He's only just coming through, but he's a regular player. Gibbs-White is in and out. Rudd is their second choice back goalkeeper. And Traore. Apart from that, you've got Burr, Kilman. Vinagre, he plays quite a bit as well. But Castello, Podence, and Caveso Giordano, or Jordeo, all of them, they're youth players. They're not first-team players, and take those away, and that's probably about a 15-man squad, which is good. But then if you get 2 or 3, can happen, then they might be in a bit of trouble. But they're sort of riding that wave at the moment, and it seems like they're not going to fall off the surfboard.
Yeah, nice analogy. I mean, I'm looking at the news that's going to hit for tomorrow's headlines. Looks like the Mail on Sunday, so tomorrow's paper is doing a feature on Juventus have joined Man United and Real Madrid and both trying to sign Raul Jimenez. So obviously he's hit amazing form with Wolves and been that consistent finisher for them for 2 seasons, and that's obviously piqued the interest of European giants. And you know, like we said, they haven't sold their best players so far. But is this the first time we're going to see Wolves' next stage of recruitment being tested? Because can they really keep Jimenez tied down if, you know, Man United, Real Madrid and Juventus are all going in for him?
The thing is, they're rumours, but a lot of times you'll see these rumours on players that are in form and they never happen. Like, from our personal experience, Danny Ings was registered with Manchester United, apparently. But obviously that was never going to happen. I say that. They signed the Garlo, so you never know with Manchester United's transfer policy. But the thing is, they are challenging for the Champions League. And I know that sounds mental, because it's Wolves, but they've picked up another 3 points here today against, a West Ham side that isn't in great form. And I think it's the first time since 2019 that they haven't scored in back-to-back games or something ridiculous like that. But they're getting the points where they need to, and they are making progress. Even from last season, they're making progress when no one expected it, even with that amount of fixture congestion. I can't pull up the table. I'll try and pull it up as quickly as I can. Wolves are 6th on 46, just 2 points behind Chelsea, who obviously have a game in hand in them. But if Chelsea slip up against Aston Villa, they're 2 points off 4th, and they've played the same amount of games. So it's going to be a real tight run, and I wouldn't rule Wolves out of a top 4 space, especially top 5, if Manchester City get their Champions League ban.
Couple of VAR calls today, which nothing got prosecuted, but there was a rash challenge to the ankle. Now, I can't remember who the player was. Harry, can you remember the one?
It's Guy Cahill.
It was King on Cahill.
Yeah.
Making a swish change to Bournemouth versus Crystal Palace.
That's just the professional I am, you see. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't really work when we pay attention to it, but hey, we'll keep moving. We'll keep moving. Bournemouth Crystal Palace. We'll talk about that decision of that challenge. Now, for me, it got called up for serious foul play and it wasn't overturned. For me, when you see those studs up in an ankle buckling, I think he's got to be going. Is that just me, or am I being too harsh watching it on the replay?
I do agree with you. However, I think with those challenges, it sounds that they only really go for it if the players get truly injured. I think the way the VAR looked at it is just a bit unfortunate thing that happened, where even though the studs were up, I just think that I don't understand why that there wasn't a red card if it was meant to. If you know what I mean, because I think the ref who was in the VAR today, surely he would have thought that was intent, because he didn't even get a yellow card. But it's just a bit of a clumsy challenge. I don't really see the malicious intent for it to be a red card.
But we've seen.
I think if it was a bit higher. I think it was a bit higher in the leg. He might have done, or if he stamped downwards, it might have been. But I think there's a clear intent to get the ball. I think he got the ball first and then went through the man. So I think it was.
Exactly.
If he didn't get the ball at all and it was a bit higher and it was a bit more malicious, I'd say fair enough. But because he got the ball and it was just sort of a follow through, I can see it going. I could see it going either way. But I'm not surprised he hasn't given the red card.
Yeah, fair play. And to be fair, I've just realised this now, looking through the back pages of tomorrow. the headline photo for what is it, Mail on Sunday, is Guendouzi holding Maupay by the neck. I don't know when this actually occurred, but it's a pretty bad still image, and nothing was shown at the time. No VAR calling it for violent conduct. Is there a chance we will see retrospective action on that, or is that just hustle and bustle?
Was that during the game or afterwards in the little collision they had?
Either way.
So yeah.
But it might sound bad, but I think they're going to go soft, and I'm going to think they'll turn a blind eye to it and not do anything. They should, because you just can't do that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But I think they'll turn a blind eye and sort of, because Arsenal have lost 2 on the bounce and have already got David Luiz suspended, Leno's injured, and so is there Xhaka and another centre back as well. I think that they'll let it go for now.
Yeah. The Express back page, just looking at the ones that will be released tomorrow in the shops. Shaw's come out, and so I know this was yesterday, but it's an interview that Shaw did today, talking about Manchester United and trying to kick on. Shaw came out in the press and saying that they need to play Pogba from the start in order to try and get that success. And obviously we saw him feature as a substitute, make an impact straight away by getting that penalty from Dyer with a bit of quick feet. And I know we covered it yesterday. If you want to see our analysis of the actual Man United game, then you can go and click on that in our previous episode. But just quickly on that, do you think Shaw's in right in needing Pogba from the start in order to get those results? Someone?
I thought you were a Manchester United expert. So
be quiet, Harry. Be quiet, Mr. West Brom over there.
I thought you were going to come in. But
one thing I would say, to be fair, Harry, is he got the penalty by being out of position and playing a bit of a right wing, sort of right mid role. So you can't really say he made an impact. He made an impact by being out of position, you could argue.
I think as bad as it sounds, I think Luke Shaw needs to let his manager make the decisions and not make him make decisions, to be honest with you. I think he should trust what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's doing, because Paul Pogba hasn't played. He's played 8 games this season, to be honest. So I think it's not right for him to start just yet, especially when they've came into such a hot patch of form. They're not going to just switch up their midfield already. So I think, to be honest, Luke Shaw, as bad as it sounds, perfect your job at left back before you become the manager of Manchester United.
Yeah, fair enough. And Harry, you mentioned Jamie's affinity with Man United. Jamie hit back with your affinity with West Brom. Can you give us any updates with the Championship? If what happened with West Brom or any other title contenders for the league in the Championship?
There was a couple of interesting results. Brentford's got a late 2-0 win against Fulham. So that helps both sides, but it also really helps West Brom and Leeds, because it means that Fulham didn't make up any ground. West Brom drew 0-0 with Birmingham, one of their rivals. So, West Brom did dominate, but they also only had 1 shot on target out of their 18, something ridiculous like that. So 0-0 is probably a fair reflection. Charlton beat Hull City, so that's going to really help their case of staying in the league. And Derby beat Millwall. I think Louis Sibley got a hat-trick, one of their really, really good young players. I've seen him play a couple of times this season, and I think he's a real bright spark. And I think they've got an outside chance of getting into playoffs. And I said it a couple of days ago, despite the fact that they're 10th or 12th before today, I think they're going to make playoffs.
Is that Derby?
I think they're going to make playoffs.
They're 3 points above them at the moment. Bristol City, Millwall and Cardiff all dropping down. Swansea and Blackburn showing close. I mean, both 1 point off those two. But yeah, Derby sitting in 12th
big win
at the
for
moment.
Blackburn.
Yeah, that really pushes them closer, doesn't it? Derby 3 points off at the moment. If they continue to hit their form, they've got a chance. But I guess they also need a little bit of luck to swing their way. I mean, they got 3 results that went all right for them. West Brom 4th at that point, so it's up to Leeds as well. What were you going to say, Jumbo?
I think it's crazy in the Championship how from 3rd to, I would argue, 13th, they're all challenging for that one spot in the Premier League. I think it's ridiculous how close that league is.
Yeah, it is crazy, isn't it? And like I said, Leeds just dropping down, but obviously got that game in hand, so can go 3 points clear if they get. Who they play in Leeds? You got any idea, Harry?
Cardiff at 12 tomorrow.
Cardiff 11, so obviously that could help Derby's prospect as well to try and get into playoffs as well. Leeds do take all 3 points off them. So another one to watch out for that one as well, Leeds. Do you see them taking all 3 points, Harry?
They should, to be fair. And that would make them 9 points clear of Fulham. And surely from that point, they cannot bottle.
But you would still love to see it, though, Tizard.
I don't think they will, to be fair, because they'll use this as a second pre-season because they play quite a highly energetic brand of football, and they've had this 3-month rest, and now they're going to come back. 9 games left of the season, and I think they're going to do it.
Mm-hmm. And should we have a quick little look ahead and see what's coming up tomorrow? So tomorrow it is Father's Day, so the fathers can sit down and watch football all day tomorrow. We've got first game kick-off, Newcastle versus Sheffield United. I don't know what I predicted for that one, but what do we guys think it's going to be? We can stick some predictions on record now.
Sheffield United 2-1. I can see a clean sheet. A clean sheet record being
in a 2-1. Oh, right.
Yes. I was trying to think of the words.
Fair enough. Harry, what do you reckon? Are you similar in Jamie?
I think it's going to be quite a drab 1-1. To be honest with you, I think it's going to be a drab 1-1.
I'm looking at my predictions I made at the start of the week. I said Newcastle 1, Sheffield United 1. Because Newcastle, I know the home bias doesn't really work, but Newcastle, when they're at home, they keep it pretty close, don't they? So I think a 1-0 is a fair reflection. That's what I reckon. Villa Chelsea's also at 4:15, so another interesting one there. Villa having to get something out of that game, they can potentially jump out of that relegation spot if they do pick up points. But Chelsea obviously visiting them, who are again trying to maintain that. Is it 4th spot, I believe? Is it?
Yeah.
4th. So yeah, really trying to remember that Champions League. What do we reckon? Chelsea versus Villa.
I can see Villa scrapping one.
Really?
Honestly, because I genuinely think Villa have a chance to stay up because out of all the teams in the relegation battle, I think they're the ones that really have a fight to them. And they're passionate about their
I think they got some tough fixtures, though. I think that's the one thing that...
But so did Bournemouth, Ollie. So did West Ham. I think out of all of them three, because I think Norwich and Brighton, in my opinion, are going to go down. I think there's them two could easily up them one.
So Villa need a win to be able to get out of the relegation zone by tomorrow. They're on 26, both Bournemouth and West Ham on 27, but obviously a draw won't affect goal difference, which they are 2 points adrift of Bournemouth. So if they win by a two-goal margin, then they can go to...
The thing is, Ollie...
they can go to 16th if they...
The thing is, what could be exciting is it could go down to the last game of the season with West Ham playing Aston Villa. I mean, that'd be quite an exciting game.
Could be very interesting. So if you believe Villa are going to get out 19th, who do you reckon the two teams to drop down into it are?
Like I said, Bournemouth and Brighton, in my opinion.
Oh, wow. Brighton! Even though they won today, you think they're gonna drop?
I don't know. So I don't know. Basically my 4 I think will go down.
There's 3 that go down.
I know, Ollie. I know. I'm just saying. Okay. I think the rest is Norwich, Bournemouth. I'm an idiot. And Brighton, 3. I'm throwing out there, So like I said, I think West Ham should save it realistically, like I've said quite a few times. Watford are all right, but Bournemouth no chance they'll get any more points this season other than a draw against Southampton.
So you think Villa are going to nick it? What do you reckon? A 1-0 or a 2-1?
A scrappy 1-0, a classic Villa game.
I reckon Chelsea will leave with a 2-0 win. Harry, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I'd say 2-0. I think Aston Villa are going to be tired from a hard-battled game against Sheffield United. And they could see it either way in the fact that they were able to get a point where they probably shouldn't have done because of that ghost goal, and they might bounce straight into this game. But for me, I think they're going to be tired. Their squad depth just isn't that deep. And I think Chelsea players are going to be really ready to go to fight for that Champions League spot due to the fact that Manchester United dropped points.
Yeah, fair enough. So we both agreed on a 2-0. Great minds think alike. And the final game of tomorrow is Everton versus Liverpool, the Merseyside derby, headlining tomorrow. So a very interesting one there. Everton hosting Liverpool. Can Liverpool kick back into their winning ways they had before the break? What do we see there? I reckon Everton will bag a goal, but it won't be enough. I think Liverpool will leave with a 2-1 win. Myself, anyway. What do you reckon?
Ollie, will it be the mighty Richarlison who scores? He's claiming he can get past Van Dijk anytime he wants.
I think Calvert-Lewin will be very up for it, and I think he will get one against Liverpool. But I still think the powerhouse of Liverpool will be too much. So I think Calvert-Lewin's definitely not because he's in my fantasy. Calvert-Lewin getting on the team sheet, score sheet even, and I think Liverpool will get goals.
Yeah, I say 3-0 win Liverpool.
Fair enough.
Run them over.
Yeah, and Harry, what do you reckon, mate?
I think it'll be scrappy, but I think they'll get a 2-1. I just don't think Everton's quality is anywhere near that of Liverpool. And to be fair, you could say that compared to any other team in the league, to be honest with you. So it's not that they're Everton. It's just the fact that they are playing against Liverpool. And despite the fact they can't win the league, I think they'll go 3 points closer. And I think they will win 2.
So we had the exact same prediction for all 3 results, Harry. We obviously just...
What can I say? Us two are just telepathic.
I just have hope in Aston Villa, boys. That's all it is, all right? Leave me alone for that.
I mean, yeah, fair enough. Okay, well, we can see how correct we were with those predictions. We will be back for another daily episode tomorrow after we've seen those fixtures and all the talking points of it. So make sure you join us. Make sure if you're on a podcast, you subscribe on there, or you can stick the notification bell on the YouTube so you get the video versions of these if that's more down your alley. It's up to you, really. But yeah, thank you for listening. Might as well tell you who I'm with. So it's me, Ollie, and my normal co-hosts today, which were Harry.
Jamie.
Say goodbye, Harry. Oh,
Goodbye, Harry.
Yes. Go on, Jamie. You can say goodbye again.
I wanted to sneak in there. Yeah. But yes, Jamie, the mighty Jamie Allen.
Struggling to say goodbye. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you.
I don't want to say goodbye, Ollie.
See you next time.